by talking. We don't
We
even know who's introing.
we don't even know who's introing. So we are talking about our podcast and how we don't know what the hell we're doing, pretty much.
Yeah, last time was like it was pretty rough. It was an hour and 20 minutes. It reminded me of those clips that I get served that I just like hate, and I can just see somebody else getting one right now. At least we didn't put a misleading header being like, Ric Flair returns and some clip, and then you click on it, and then it's us talking about Ric Flair
Droning on.
returning 15 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's my take on Ric Flair's return to Starrcade in 1989.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it'll all come together. Like I was saying to you before we started doing this, like the best part of starting a podcast, like I don't care if anybody ever watches it. The best part of starting a podcast is it gets you back into wrestling. Not only did I
True.
watch Raw that we're going to talk a little bit about, I also, as I mentioned to you earlier, I've been watching Raw Vault and watched Raw from January 11th, 1999, Corporate
That's
Rumble, where
wild.
China eliminates Vince. If you're watching this, go back and check out when China throws out Vince and watches Vince's head and neck gets caught under the bottom rope. It was extremely crazy. Like it looked like it could have like broken his neck. It was wild.
Yeah, and that's what was that was like the peak of his the little start of his wrestling career, right? Like he just started at that point.
Yeah, I think he had only really ever had the one hand tied behind his back match with Stone Cold on Raw.
Right. Yeah.
And
Oh
then
man.
he was getting ready for the St. Valentine's Day Massacre cage match.
Hopefully he stretched. Oh yeah, I've never watched that cage match. I
What?
never seen it.
Oh
I've
wow.
and
You
that's when
got it.
Paul White debuted.
Yeah. Can we
Yeah.
call him the Big Show? Come on.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I don't think that they should have necessarily called him the Big Show, but let's not call him Paul White.
Well, can we call him Andre the Giant Jr. or Baby
What would
Andre?
you what would you have called him?
I like the Giant. But
Paul the Giant. Well, it was WCW, wasn't it? They couldn't just do that, I thought.
could you trademark the Giant?
I
Really?
guess. Why not?
I feel like it's such a generic term, a generic name.
We could have done Paul the Giant. Yeah, I don't know. The Giant was good too. But
Yeah.
anyway, here we are for our second episode. A couple lessons. We're going to keep it shorter. We're only going to review one match, one segment. I believe we've already started talking about Andre the Giant, Big Show, and Vince in China. So we're there. I don't think we'll be doing any future Vince Janelle Grant podcasts, uh,
No,
unless it's going to lead us to clicks.
let's jump to 2025.
Let's do it.
All right. So CM Punk's promo on Raw. Overall, what'd you think?
Well, two things. There's the content and then like the format. So
Because
like
you love CM Punk.
yeah, yeah.
He's your
He
guy.
yeah, he's my guy. Right now, he's my guy with a Roman close number two being like very cool and special to watch. But I'd watch Punk wrestle anybody. I wouldn't watch Roman wrestle anybody. When it was like Roman versus Jey Uso in the main event of SummerSlam last year, I didn't care. If it was Punk versus Jey Uso, I'd care. So in terms of the formatting, like this is going to sound weird, but I do like that they're doing these side interviews that are kind of like up in the crowd. Creates kind of like a different atmosphere. It stops people from interrupting it and things like that. But I also, kind of wish that it was in the ring and that they still had people interviewing people in the ring as well. And maybe that's just a thing of the past because it gives you the idea that someone could maybe interrupt. So when Punk was up there giving the promo, which I thought was awesome, I was like, okay, because this is happening in the stands, that means we're going to see him in the ring later. I assumed he'd get involved in the main event, and we can talk about that afterwards. So I felt because it was up there that I was going to be seeing him in the main event later. And I don't know. I'm still kind of confused between how these interviews are working a little bit, but I'll get used to it.
Well, and I'm sort of coming back to this from a long time of not watching. And I don't know if like these in-stand interviews are new or if they've been around for a little while. Um,
They're new, I
you're-
think.
are they new as in like Netflix new, or were they doing them even before the Netflix stuff?
They're Netflix new. As far as I think, they were
Interesting.
doing them. They were doing backstage right up until the switch.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting way of doing things. I actually liked it. I felt there was like, the crowd was really into it. They're right behind them. They're cheering, and I think it helps with the performer's energy. as well. But the Punk in that promo, and I'm not a Punk fanboy. I like Punk, but I'm not like you. I don't go out of my way to watch every single Punk segment. But I thought this promo was like, um, it had more energy than I've seen from anybody recently in terms of him totally staying on track the entire time, not getting derailed, the crowd, going wild behind him, and him like his promo was just aggressive and I don't know, kind of an old school throwback in a way. Just
Hmm.
being he was on the entire time and like uh, believable.
Well, it's like since he's come back, it really correlates with Vince's removal, and it seems like it certainly feels as if he's just maybe given some talking points, what to promote the Royal Rumble, promote this, that, or the other. But I think the reason it resonates so much is because it feels like him. And I think that's why his feud with Drew is so good. And I love Drew now. Drew is an awesome heel. It feels like Drew is like really authentic. Like that's who he is. It's not just like some bullshit. When he comes out there, he's like, for lack of a better term, he's a superstar, in my opinion. When you look at other guys though, like I'll give you an example, like Jey Uso. I don't think Jey Uso is himself. I think he's very like scripted, told kind of what to do. So when Punk's delivering a promo like this, like I agree with his energy. Question, like when he was coming out, like none of those fans were in their seats. They were all just like up getting popcorn and
Did
going
they
to the
know
bathroom.
that he was coming, or I don't know? Yeah,
Surely they wouldn't have advertised that.
no, but they were all like neatly lined against the wall. It's not like some, people were walking to their seats after getting a drink. They must have been like, in the hall doing stuff, coming back, and then security does a run through beforehand, I imagine, and is like, get against the wall, don't move. We have someone coming through. Stay here.
Yeah. I
Probably
mean,
like that.
we maybe we'd be like, that's really exciting, but like, you know what? We don't want to miss the next match. We better get back. And the security's like, don't worry, it's damage control. We're like, oh, no problem. We can easily miss that. Okay, so I am a big
What's wrong
Punk
with damage
fan.
control?
Uh,
Jeez.
I
Anyways,
am a big Punk fan, but I'll be honest, like I'm not completely turned off by it, but it's getting to be a bit too much, this pandering to the
the
crowd.
Netflix.
No, not
The,
the Netflix
oh,
thing. It's he's pandering to the crowd too much, coming through, high-fiving everybody with all of these people behind me. Like, I think the support he's garnered so far is just by being himself. And like whether he's a good guy or a bad guy, like he doesn't need to so much like appeal to the crowd. Just the fact that he's so brutally honest about everything is what makes him over, I think. So I just hope they don't go too far with that. Just generally speaking, I think the crowd loves him regardless. Um, and then just getting on some of the content, like Punk was talking about beating Rollins on Raw and doing first and all this stuff, and then he said Rollins is favored to win the Royal Rumble.
yeah, I don't.
By who? If Rollins
Yeah,
wins the Royal Rumble, I'll be pissed. That would be awful.
yeah, I don't see that happening. I don't. I don't know why he would have said that. But I will say that this Rumble is interesting. It's starting to get stacked, and I feel like every year they progressively stack it more.
Hmm.
Um, these last couple of Rumbles, I've actually been excited for. I remember the first time I was excited was maybe the one where Cody was back. And
Yeah.
I remember Cody and Brock were in that Rumble, like two guys. And I'm like, I remember talking to you about it. We were, wow, this is going to be a great Rumble because the years before that were so bad that just having two people in the Rumble made it interesting.
Yeah, I mean, who do you have? Like you were talking about stacks. You've got Roman, Cena, Punk. Uh, help me out.
Seth, Drew,
Seth, Drew. I
um,
guess they're saying Sammy. I mean,
Sammy, yeah.
Punk says he's not on his level. I happen to agree. Could we also see a return of Brock? You're right. Like it's looking good. I loved the Sammy chirp, and
Oh,
that's an example of what I was saying before.
what
How
about
Sam,
sorry,
sorry.
Rumble. What about Orton? Would he be back?
I think I don't like. I assume he'll be in it. it's going to be interesting to see because you would imagine he would get involved in the ladder match between Cody and Kevin
Hmm.
Owens. Since Kevin was the one that put him on the shelf, there's all sort of possibilities they could do with Randy. I think he'll be at the Rumble, probably will be in it, but I don't know that that's a guarantee. The way that he tore Sami Zayn down, I think also builds Sami up because it creates heat between the two of them. So saying that Sami Zayn is not on this level, and he's not, and I've gone over this with you before. Right now, there's three. There's Cody, Punk, and Roman, and then there's everybody else. You can say,
Hmm.
well, oh, if Brock comes back, but he's not back, and he's super, super part time, and The Rock might never wrestle again. Also, you know how I feel from the last podcast. He sucks now. He's not the real final boss. So
Yeah.
the Sammy chirp was great. I have down here, God Punk can talk, like you're saying. He is an awesome talker. And also building up the fact that he might use the favor in the Rumble creates a ton of intrigue. What does that mean? If it
Yeah.
comes down to Roman and Punk, is 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 the favor going to be Lesnar? Is maybe Lesnar's not in the Rumble? Imagine it came down to
Right.
Roman and Punk, and then Lesnar's music just hits after all 30 have been in. That'd be
Oh,
wild.
that would be wild. And yeah, yeah, Heyman owes him a favor, so that's definitely a possibility.
I feel like
Interesting.
they're building towards Punk Roman, to be honest. I don't think either one of them needs a belt. I think Punk Roman, I'm not going to call it Rock Hogan, but I think it's bigger than maybe people realize, and it can
Yeah,
headline on its own. It doesn't need a title.
that's for sure. Okay, one more thing in his promo. What do you think of the Hogan trashing?
I mean, it's timely. I think it was
Yeah,
hilarious.
yeah.
It's true. I think he capitalized on what happened on Raw the other day,
Hmm.
and I think it was hilarious. I think that's what like other you'd think that other people would be too afraid to do it. Like, oh, did Triple H approve that? You know, Vince would never have allowed that. I'm sure him and Triple H talked about it because I think Punk's a different person. He doesn't just go out there and say whatever he's going to say.
Yeah.
And I think Triple H wants him to be very edgy, to say those sort of things. So I thought it was awesome. Hogan's dusty old ass, he said.
Nice.
Throw it over the top rope. Like Hogan could even land. He'd break both his legs going over the top rope at this age.
So I don't see Punk winning the Rumble, and kind of what you were talking about earlier. He doesn't really need the belt, and neither does Roman. Um, so who could be a favorite in the Rumble? I think it's a
Well, could it be one of these years? Like I have a feeling there's going to be some hijinks going on. Like could it be a 1994 or 1997 year? A cheat win that gets reversed, two guys get eliminated at once. Something
Mhm.
smells because like no like you Romans can't be eliminated legitimately.
Yeah.
And cause Cody's not in it. Cody's the only one, and neither can Punk. So something has to happen to both of them. And I don't know. I'm not saying two people could win or what route they're going to go, but I think it's truly unpredictable. I think we will see Brock return. I think
Really?
we will see the favor get cashed in. Yeah. And I think that they could be related.
All right. Well, we'll see. Um, do you want to talk about Drew and Seth
Yeah,
main
let's
event?
do it. Let's do it. Yeah.
Um, so I like that they're actually first of all building main events on Raw now. You know, it's not like slapped together last minute. Like, here's your main event tonight, and it's just you just a match you just don't care about. I think they did a good job actually. Leading up to this match last week, and then now the promo video beforehand as well, just kind of telling the story of these guys and how long their rivalry has been going on. Especially for me, someone who has no idea what's happening right now because I haven't watched since the 1997 Royal Rumble.
Well,
Um,
that's the point. Like, yes, agreed. They had a great hype video, right? And what the way that they're structuring it since they moved to Netflix is it seems clear that they're trying to make themselves accessible to non-fans or former fans. So it's easy to digest. You can easily tune in. Like if you look at that build-up package, like you'd think that this was a feud that'd been ongoing since last WrestleMania.
hmm.
and it was so professionally done. Like it was great. I agree. It kind of felt like the main event of a UFC pay-per-view. The way that they built that up. The whole thing, of course, wasn't, but and it's an easy to follow story, right? Like what's been going on, how both of them are like inside their own heads, going all the way back to last WrestleMania. Michael Cole was like Seth getting involved into two matches and shooting himself in the foot, and then Drew getting arrogant after winning, and then getting Punk costing him, and then the cash in from Damian Priest.
Mhm.
So I couldn't agree with you more. Did you notice once again how long Seth's entrance was?
Okay, yes. I feel
What is
like
going on?
is this must be like a commercial break spot. It has
They
to be.
did two. They did two breaks. At least in Canada, there was two parts where they stopped. One was for a commercial. The other they just stopped and then they came back in.
And he gets to the ring in maybe like a minute. His music's playing. He's the music is playing while he's in the ring and around the ring for 10 minutes, it seems.
I timed it exactly. 2:06:16 to 2:11:48. So
Oh, okay.
5.5 minutes, I think that is.
Yeah, and then he's
Uh,
running around high-fiving everybody. It's kind of awkward
ah,
for the performer, right? Like, what do you
I
do?
know. I want him to turn heel. I can't stand Seth, and I want him to be heel. But then I measured Drew's, and Drew's was 2:11:48 to 2:14:41. So Seth had 5.5 minutes versus Drew's 3 minute entrance. So basically, Seth was twice as long.
Right. Okay. So we're back. We were talking about the build-up. Build-up, it was I think we were kind of in agreement that it was a good build-up. They're actually making a main event
Tremendous.
for Raw, a main event. Um,
Yes, it felt like it was a big fight feel, and it was intriguing. Um, I noticed a couple different things I noticed right out of the gate. You might like I can't help it. Perhaps I'm like biased about how much I hate Seth, but I just like can't stop noticing things. Like there was a huge chop from Drew to Seth, and then Seth like sometimes you like yell when you're upset, and Seth like gives out this like yell, but like his voice is just like so whiny and annoying. Like he sounds like he's like a middle-aged woman screaming. It's quite, I don't know why he does that. Like is that his real scream or he's playing some character? Um I also noticed out of the gate, did you notice like how they were just immediately started like running the ropes and the running of the ropes wasn't really lining up? And they each did it and then it just led to Drew awkwardly pushing Seth down. And I think they just came out of the gate way too quick.
yeah, I noticed that. I actually didn't really even have a note on that. I just thought it was awkward. I should have, yeah, I should have made a note on that. Um,
It's all good if you don't have a note on it, bud.
yeah,
It's not an exam. You could have just pretended that you did. You could have
I
said
know.
yes and moved on.
Yeah, no, awkward. Um, but that didn't take away from the match for me.
Me
Um,
neither.
and also I kind of you're seems like you're ragging on Seth a bit, but this guy's a workhorse, man. Does he wrestle more matches than anyone on the roster? Like every time
I
I
don't know.
watch, he's wrestling.
He,
Um,
he he does seem to wrestle quite a bit. I'm not sure who wrestles the most matches. Um, what did you think about the backwards suplex on the table that Drew gave him? I thought it looked amazing and so dangerous. Like planned dangerous. Like it looked like
yeah,
it could have gone wrong and really hurt. And I thought I know for sure that they know what they're doing. But man, that looked cool.
I loved it, and this is like it seems like there's constant announce table spots on Raw these days. Every episode I've watched, there's been some sort of announce table spot, and that table is so freaking strong. It
That's
doesn't
what Wade Barrett was saying. Yeah.
budge at all. It's just like every time they go on it, I'm expecting those flimsy ones from the 90s and 2000s where they would stand on it and it would start breaking right away. These things
Hmm.
are these are tough and they look good. Good tables.
Well, you know
Um,
what though? Like by doing that, maybe like what they're doing, and this might be the type of psychology that you don't see too much anymore. Like by
Hmm.
having those spots where the table doesn't break, right?
Makes it a
And then
big
having
deal.
the announcers
Yeah.
talk about it. Then when you fix a table to break at a big event and it breaks, it's a huge deal. It's like, oh my God. Like they're trying to stop the amount of times that the table breaks, which works on wrestling fans. It does.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're doing a bit of trying to do a bit of reconditioning.
Yep, I
Um,
would agree. It's ample time to start. Did you see how red chest Seth was? Did you see how red Seth's chest was?
yeah, I felt both of these guys were kind of getting banged up in this match. Even Drew looked a little banged up. What didn't he have like a bruise on his head or something?
Yeah, it looked cool. And then let me ask you about this, and then I'll try to get off the Seth stuff. But why was Seth biting Drew? Did you see that in the forehead?
Yeah,
Right
uh,
in front of the ref?
yeah, that's kind
I,
of weird. Like, but that's a very old school heel thing to do, right? And Seth's not a heel. And, remember the old school heels? They would do that, and then there'd be the count 1, 2, and then they'd let go, stop. Um, yeah, that was just kind of an odd spot. And I can't remember, was that the spot where he was biting, then the ref was talking to him, and did Drew get in there for his double arm DDT at that point? Like, was that the one, or is that a different spot? Similar.
I'm not sure. Might have been a different but similar spot.
Okay. Yeah. There might have been two similar spots like that. But yeah, weird that he's biting. That's
Uh, like, what are the two, like, tell me more about the double arm DDT, because I can't remember it, to be honest.
So there was a spot where I'm having a hard time remembering, even though I watched this last night, where Drew was on the ground, Seth was doing something. I thought it was the biting spot. And then the ref's talking to Seth, and they're kind of getting into like a bit of like a confrontation. Drew pulls Seth's hair while he's talking to the ref into the double arm DDT and tries to get the
Oh, yeah,
pin for
okay.
Seth.
You know what we should do next time? Sorry, go ahead.
I actually kind of liked that spot. I thought it was interesting, and I knew it wasn't going to be the finish of the match, but I liked the distraction use of the ref there.
Having Raw going in the background, since it's on Netflix, you could fast forward to the spots as you're talking about them, would seem like it would be
A
excellent
great idea.
use. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, there was a superplex in this match from the top rope.
yeah,
Uh,
I have a note there.
no sold the superplex, and what was it into that? I don't know, that flippy move, suplex down
They
that Drew does.
just did this in the Punk Seth match too on Raw, like 2 weeks ago.
Why are they no selling a superplex? That's huge,
It's
right?
supposed to be, yeah. These are the small things that bother me with like old school psychology. Like I said, if you're gonna have a time travel movie and you establish rules about time travel, then don't break the very rules that you establish, because
Mhm.
then it seems unrealistic. So I hated that. Like I thought the superplex looked amazing.
Yeah.
It was awesome to watch. I loved that. But yeah, it totally ruined the finish. I felt like
Yeah.
or not the finish, I guess. It didn't ruin the match. It really took me out of it because that's what I pay more attention to. The fact that he just got right back up, like it didn't hurt.
Yeah. Um, I wasn't a fan of that either. Um, Overall, I thought the match was actually pretty well done. They worked hard. There's lots of Again, I'm a new person in wrestling. I don't know all the names, but there was awesome flashy moves that I really hadn't seen too much of before. They had a couple of sequences where it was fast paced and really interesting. Um,
Yeah.
uh,
Oh, I thought it was the same thing. Good match, exciting, nice back and forth exchanges. There was also a part where at one point, like I think it's like Seth is trying to like really display his rage. Maybe it's like a slow build to a turn. But at one point, Seth put his fingers in Drew's mouth.
yeah,
Not like a mandible claw. He just like put his fingers in his mouth. I was just like, what are you doing? It was very, very weird. But I'll say this about Seth, and I had this. I said Seth can sell. Like it looked like Drew was destroying him. Those
yeah.
just devastating clotheslines.
Yes,
Like he made it look like he made Drew look like $1 million,
he did.
which I think made sense. That's why they were going for like they put Seth over because it looked like Drew was just beating the shit out of him.
When I was watching this match, I think one of the reasons I was really invested in it was because both of these guys, in my mind, needed this win. I just couldn't picture either of them losing without looking extremely weak and not being a credible threat anymore. Drew just lost. Uh,
Maybe Drew will win the Royal Rumble.
maybe, yeah. I'd be happy with that, to be honest. He
Me
needs,
too. He's cool. I like him.
yeah, he needs his like non-COVID WrestleMania main event. He deserves it, I think. And he looks terrifying.
I
He's a
know. Yeah, he's
terrifying
scary.
man.
Yeah,
He
he's
is
scary.
incredible.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to mess with. I wouldn't want to mess with him.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope he, yeah. He didn't, at the end of this match, he didn't look weak to me, which, even though, I'm not a fan of those like out of the blue quick finishes, Um,
Hmm.
I like, personally like a nice, you know, nice, this is the finish of the match. This is the winner. It's not a quick one-off fluke. He didn't like accidentally not kick out in time. I don't know, because those are kind of like, again, it's just more unfinished business. It doesn't like settle anything when it's a quick win like that, in my opinion. But that's also,
I agreed.
yeah, it's also probably good because they're going into the Royal Rumble and they can maybe settle some stuff there.
I
Um,
think Drew can't lose anymore though. So
mhm,
Seth got his win back over Punk. Now that's two losses. I still don't know why they put Uso over him. I guess it's so that he can face Gunther, which he's obviously going to lose. Um, I do have underneath so like Drew is awesome. His headbutt to Sammy also in the at the end and the I believe it was on the outside of the ring
yeah,
was it just looks so real. Like he looks like he's destroying people, and
yeah,
he's super dangerous. Although the end of it, like the complete end of Raw, like when it was just like Sammy and Rollins, and Sammy accidentally hit Rollins. I'm not saying that they're not good characters, they don't have an important part in the show. Like I get it, they do. They're just not on the same level for me. There's Punk, Drew, Cody, Roman, like those are the guys. And you might throw a couple other names in there. I would even say honestly, I like Kevin Owens that much. I think Kevin Owens you could say that he's arguably up there. Randy Orton is up there, and different Gunther is maybe up there. These different guys like that, but Seth and Sammy, like I hate to say this, but they're just intercontinental guys to me, and that's an important part of the show. I don't want them overly exposed in my main events.
fair enough. But I think that they did a good job building Sammy, in this episode. And this is what they need to do. They need to build guys so that there is a little chance in your mind that something could happen.
Of
I think
course.
right now they're doing a good job of building intrigue in Sami Zayn. The Kevin Owens angle they had earlier in the night, where Kevin is hoping to call in a favor from Zami. Let's call him Zami.
Sami Zayn.
Um, and then this angle with Seth too, the accidental kick. I mean, that's a uh, very commonly done thing in wrestling. The accidental attack on a potential friend, um, and a now foe. But I think it kind of adds interest to the Rumble. Like, who's going to eliminate Sammy? Is it going to be Seth, and they're going to have a rivalry? Is Sammy
Well, it
going to?
depends what happens in the KO ladder match. Like, is Randy going to come back? So I agree overall with you. There's a lot of intrigue. The actual Rumble, well, I would say the Cody Kevin Owens match and the men's Rumble itself are must watch.
Yeah,
And I think anything could happen, and I think the two stories will be related, and I think we'll be left with more questions, and it's going to make Raw the next night, or not the next night now because it's on Saturdays. Raw the 2 nights later on Monday, must watch TV. And I'm so glad Raw is back to being the show. I was sick of SmackDown being the top show. Friday night SmackDown, give me a break. And now that Raw is the show again, and I'm hoping Roman's more featured on Raw. We can let Cody run wild on SmackDown, but if you got Roman and Punk on the same show, I mean, it's not Austin Rock, but it's getting close.
Yeah, they're really building these guys up, and it's interesting to watch. I'm actually even watching other segments now that I have somewhat of an interest in.
YouTube is
Um,
great for that as well. On watching them on the fly, just checking out what else is going on.
yeah,
I
it's
watched Ray. I watched Ray versus Kofi. I thought that was cool as well. So like the JBL on commentary was a bit weird, but and I'm a big fan of his. But overall, I thought that I thought it was a good show. I thought they were doing a good job again. Raw seems cool. I'll probably watch it next week. Actually, I won't because I'll be in Jamaica. And I'll have to miss Saturday night's main event. But hopefully, there's good YouTube clips. I won't be able to get Netflix in another country, but I'll be able to get good YouTube clips and I'll watch it. And then I'll be back on Saturday for the Rumble itself. And we have to review the Rumble.
yes, I
Yeah.
have to. Yeah, we have to review the Rumble. I'm excited about reviewing it. Even next week's Raw to me looks interesting. We got Logan Paul coming back.
Yeah.
Uh,
I like Logan. I'm
yeah,
a fan. We got to do the Rumble the Monday after. We got to get it up there right
as
for our
quickly as
fans.
possible. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
probably gonna watch it the night it happens. I'll stay up
I think
way
I'll
late.
watch twice. I'm going to watch it twice. The night it happens, and then I'll watch it again the next day and take my notes that day.
Nice. All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I
All
think
right.
that sums up our podcast for today. Thank you to all 7 listeners.
Sorry for the interruption. Hopefully, Jesse stitches it together here for us, and maybe it'll come up into two different segments. But
Yeah.
I feel more energy this time. I thought it was
All
more
right.
fun.
All
So
right, man.
we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.